This looks fun.
It's a medium, not a genre. It's not part-time, it's a lifetime.
Hello everyone, Baron is back, and I happened to watch a pretty interesting movie a few weeks ago. That would be the theatrical Hitpig movie. And what interested me in seeing this movie was actually because it came out of the mind of David Feiss, who and still is one of my favorite people in animation today. He's created the classics of Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel, along with other projects he's been a part of. And one thing I realized about this movie is that it is probably not going to win over everyone. Not unless I can convince them to be won over. So in this video, I am basically just getting people to want to see this movie, despite all the things which they might not get, because I'm going to get them to get them. So with that being said, let's get this started. So before I introduce you to the special world that Feiss creates, how about we start things simple with something more universally agreeable? With slapstick, there is quite a bit of in this movie, a lot more than you would see in most theatrical movies, theatrical animated movies, and it is pretty refreshing in my opinion. Like, not even like some of the goofier movies, like The Bad Guys really incorporated like the way stretchiness and squishiness is incorporated in this movie. An elephant thing in a bathtub, that's pretty squishy. A bunch of different like ways that characters move around and stuff. It's definitely like different from Love. Because you would assume that some of these characters don't have any bones, like the wings. And one thing which that has to do with Feiss is that Feiss, of course, very cartoony style, was often associated with like wackier movements. But one thing which makes his like feel better than others, despite really going over the top some, is that it doesn't always like feel that way with everyone, and like has a good job at spacing them out. He can be pretty good with comedic pacing, and with slapstick, along with the other examples I'm gonna do, pacing them like incorrectly could be a big no-no. And what can I say? David Feiss, long line of career. He has the experience. I believe in him to not make slapstick feel like you yourself, the viewer, are getting hit in the head by a mallet. And with that being said, I think we should move on to the next example. So this movie has another thing which a lot of people could find pretty annoying if handled poorly, which is a bunch of loud, very vocal characters who are really taking up attention from the audience. And with that, I'm gonna once again saying how cool David Feiss is. He should be the next president of the United States despite being Canadian. The point is that he does this well as well. And I feel like the best example with like how he best handles like louder characters and stuff is with one of the main examples of it in this film, which is this one shrimp, which is played by Charlie Adler. And one thing to note about Charlie Adler, which David Feiss is well aware of, is that whenever Charlie Adler will, two things need to be in great consideration. One, he's loud. Two, he talks way more than he needs to be. And yep, both of those two are really take off here. Like his character is Shrimp Sona really has no purpose in the movie outside just making quips. Even the way he's introduced is a little off-putting. It would make you feel like he would just be thrown away like a few minutes afterwards. But what can I say? He works in this film. He works with David Feist's mind because he never really when he does stop, he never really There are some pretty long breaks in between what he's doing, what he's saying, and that helps make it so he doesn't overstay his welcome despite saying his welcome, overstaying the overstaying of his welcome. And that being said, he's pretty enjoyable. He can make you laugh, at least make me laugh a few times in the movie. I promise. Hey, let's get into this quickly so you won't possibly change your mind about this being good. So, lowbrow humor. There's quite a bit of in this film, and a lot of people consider it to be pretty tasteless. Let me give my rebuttal as to how David Feist could be someone to change your mind. So, we have the character Polecat, played by RuPaul, because 90% of David Feist's characters are gay in some way. He is this pretty lowbrowish joke, and it goes around film. And I won't say it here because it's close and all, but I feel like one thing which makes this work along with other aspects previously stated, the slapstick and the loud equals funny stuff, is Jason Sudeikis' character as Hitpig, as the main character, as he is pretty much the only relatively sane one in this town, which is full of a bunch of pretty wacky characters, including Polecat, and I feel like that helps make all their ridiculous antics, silly stuff they do, feel better. And you can also include other characters oh my goodness, Anita. I'm so glad she's in this film. I wouldn't have seen it anyway without her. And with stuff like that, this Polecat character, can be kind of amusing sometimes, which could be a little tough because especially around the end, he does get utilized. His joke does get utilized quite a bit. So with that being said, let's move on before you change your mind. Time to get to the final humor dumpster fire, which somehow Feist manages to find some light in. We have the pop culture. A lot of people can find it pretty tiring and pretty lame to just utilize someone that already exists as name and just have that be the joke. But once again, David Feist prevails, as there are quite a few different references to other people. There's even some little well-known meme stuff. There's I'm not gonna spoil anything really in this movie, but there's someone who goes, "Yeah, boy." Yeah, that. So with that being said, this movie it fits the pace of this movie. This isn't a serious movie at all, so it kind of works with the world. It well establishes itself that it works with very loony, cartoony logic, as previously stated with the slapstick stuff. Unlike films like the Illuminations Sing movie, or other movies of theirs Secret Pets of Life stuff, and this movie involves different characters in this goofier. Well, it's not trying to make this stuff real step to real life you can actually imagine it. It's all imaginary in some way. Check out my imaginary video. And with that being said, the pop culture references do feel a bit more fun in an exaggerated world like this, and a more traditional world yes, Family Guy, since it's more slightly more normal than this. It's like more normal, so the pop culture doesn't really have as much nuance to it. Or in a linear world like this, it's definitely feels like it can hit more, like where to be surprised. They do make them a decent amount, but not too much just to make it like, has to make like the novelty die out. And that's like a really great thing that this film does. Not as if this film could do bad, like, I mean, it's you know, wait, you thought I was dumb for this video? Just because I finished all the comedic elements? You think this is all fun and games? You think when David Weiss made Count Chicken, he originally meant to pitch it as Count Fish? Well, you're wrong, because we're finally getting to the plot of this movie and how it affects the comedy. So, with this movie, it's actually, not to spoil like really anything, it has a very simple story to it. So much so that it's actually really easy to talk about in retrospect, because not too much happens in it that could like break like narrative. Nothing really too. This film doesn't really shake things up too much, and so it's not complex in that regard, and that definitely works in favor because David Weiss recognizes that this makes it easier to like tell jokes and make it like effective, to not like really messing with the story structure and stuff, as at least in my opinion. And comedy works better when working within like the restrictions of a story and stuff. You can kind of like grab onto the humor more and it feels less aimless. And it also helps that despite being such a wacky world, the actual plot is kind of grounded. Like you can definitely imagine this in like an average film, and that really helps like make the movies like comedic elements, the wackier stuff, like work more, because it's working with a plot that not only is simple to follow, but also simple to understand. Trust me, those two don't mean the same thing. And with that being said, I feel like once again this movie succeeds in the plot some way, as it works with everything else in the comedy. It's genius. So this is a great film. Maybe not. As we go decide. In my opinion, it's probably a 7 out of 10. While all these comedic elements work for the movie, it's not like the whole like plot stuff, like everything coming together just isn't really enough to be my thing, and enough of my thing, even where neither in the film and stuff, to really be like anywhere close to my favorites. Though Anita definitely helps. But with that being said, I hope I gave you a new perspective on your advice, on humor, on this movie maybe. Maybe you might want to see it. Maybe you won't. Okay, you will. You will want to see it. Don't hold me back. You will. So, with that being said, I guess you'll catch this artist later. 'Cause karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in the air on the weekend. Karma is a relaxing thought. Aren't you envious that for you it's not? Sweet like honey. Karma is a cat. Pulling on my lap while it loves me. Looking like a loony acrobat. Me and
That is why Taylor Swift would be a great